This is going to be the last ride out on the Canyon Grizl On CF trail, and I'm hoping it's going to be the perfect last ride. So today we have got a beautiful, beautiful day. I had to wait for it to be warm enough to actually get going because I'm in summer clothes. I've even got my sandals on today. There they are. We've got a beautiful day and we're going up a massive climb. Massive. It's a Cat 1 climb if I stay on the main road. It's an HC climb if I use the old road. I am as cheerful can be. I'm always like this at the beginning of a ride. I get really excited. Every ride is an adventure. I don't know why I'm not riding. Really can't get around the fact this Grizl is absolutely magnificent. I've loved having it. It is a bike built for adventure. What I haven't really done its service on is on road, because I've been riding the Canyon Pathlight on a lot and I'm really enjoying that as well. It's been looking out for my heart for me, but obviously compared to that, this flies on roads. It is absolutely superb, as is the Pass Lassa, which is where we are now. I'm hoping we're going to see some ibex. You often get them here just grazing on the side of the road if you're early enough. So of course we're in the valley of the Ebro, and it's the Battle of the Ebro that we're going to be looking at, talking about today. And some of the people that are involved there, not necessarily the big battle and how it was fought, but just a few stories about individuals. In some ways, in a lot of ways, it's far more fascinating. Not necessarily happy stories, you'd have to say. It was the bloodiest, longest battles of the entire war, with casualties estimated to be around 120,000 people. It's a little family. Looks like 4 of them. Looks like Dad's staring at us. He'll be the one you can see best. And there's 1, 2, 3 others. And there over the river is our mountain. Now that was the way they were actually headed to La Fatarea, but that way is the lovely smooth roadway, which is only a Cat 1. And we're doing, I hope, what is the old road. Not good. Not least because I've got to come up here instead. So we started the climb. Puntia, prickly pear. And the magnificent Ascot racecourse. Oh sorry, Asco racecourse. Virtually the same. Imagine the fine ladies with their bonnets here on race day. Oh yeah. Rather disappointingly, there's no way this is an HC climb. I've done 2 in my life, I think it's 2, maybe 3. And they were unfathomably hard. This is hard. If they're 10s, this is a 6.5. No way. Unless of course we've got to get up that big escarpment at the end and it changes everything. Lovely little descent, all of 50 metres. That was bloody hard. It is an absolute warren of little roads back here. It's a strange enclosure. Can't quite figure out what it is. It could be for breeding birds, for hunting partridges, something like that. Oh, no, he didn't want that to happen. We've met the main road. No, 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 no. Happily, in a very short while, I can come off this road and back onto the old one. Oh. I'm actually looking at myself live now, climbing up this bumpy old track. Really is spectacular views. An absolutely stunning road. No crash barriers on a road like this. Absolutely incredible lost road. Absolutely superb. Yes, it's potholed, it's got trees down. This used to be the main road. It's definitely seen better days, this road. Made it to the top in one piece as well, which is excellent. And now we've got some historical stuff. The reason why we came up here, it's one of the many spaces of the Battle of the Ebro, which have got these cool, it's a helmet if you can't tell. And we are at the camp of the 15th Kos Ejercit. No idea if that's how you pronounce it. How I pronounce it is the 15th Army Corps of the Republican Army. And we're just gonna go and see some little parts of it and tell a couple of tales, very small, but maybe 2 or 3 tales from the trail about the Spanish Civil War and the Battle of the Ebro. I didn't know this was here, but this guy is the first of our heroes. And this is a memorial to him, which still has flowers laid at it. His name was Manuel Tagueña. Manuel was in charge of the 15th Army Corps. He was 25 years old. So to give you some sort of perspective, he would have been in charge of roughly 20,000 men. And the strange thing is, he wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a professional soldier, he was a scientist. He got a degree from Madrid University at the age of 20. He's obviously a boffin in maths and physics, but he was politically aware. And at that time, the rise of communism was everything. Spain had suffered badly from the feudal system, and it was still very much a land of peasants and nobility. But there was a rising working class, and the working class wanted a little bit more than peasants' quality of life. They wanted some quality of life, and he fought for them. And he was an active protester. And so as soon as the Civil War started, he joined the militia, and he commanded the militia successfully, so that 2 years later he'd risen to colonel and was in charge of the 15th Army Corps. Now the 15th Army Corps did include 3 brigades, 3 international brigades. And those were the brigades filled with mostly communists who had come from almost every country on the planet to fight fascism in Spain. I love them for it. What an incredible thing. Every country you can think of. I saw yesterday in researching this one there were over 150 Palestinians came to fight fascism in Spain. Brits, Irish, Americans, French, Hungarians, Czechs, Australians, you name it, they came to fight fascism, essentially under the communist banner. But his name is so tricky, Tagenya. He's got 2 dots on the U and a squiggle on the N. He was in charge of this portion, and he was brilliant, a brilliant tactician. Sadly, he became most famous for the retreat of the Battle of the Ebro, but he managed to organise it in such a way that the maximum number of people got out, which weren't very many. But without him, it would have been even more of a bloodbath, and his headquarters were here. So this is a forward base of the 15th Army Corps. It would have been built in the 115 days of the Battle of the Ebro. There wasn't anything here before. And this was a command post, but whilst the bulk of the battle was going on, it was also a nursing station and a rest and recuperation station where the troops would come just for one night so they could get some decent food, maybe get a wash, and more importantly, sleep. So they built lots of individual buildings for the troops to actually get a proper night's sleep before being sent straight back to the front lines. This was it, one night off. I don't know how often, but not often enough. But it's actually quite a big complex. And when the battle was essentially lost and the front line crept closer and closer to this place, this became a frontline position. Not on this side of the hill, on the other side of the hill. There's lots of dugouts, machine gun nests, all sorts, and that was to recover the retreat. And as I said, they did it very, very effectively. They had their backs to the Ebro River, and they had to try and get back across that whilst under the most appalling bombing and artillery fire. There were 13,000 shells landing on the Republicans every day, and 50,000 pounds of bombs. There were 500 nationalist airplanes in the air doing a thing called chain bombing, so that the Republican troops had never had any respite. So instead of a big wave of bombers coming in, bum, and then a gap, they phased it so there was never a portion of the front line that wasn't getting bombed at all stages. Absolutely horrendous. And in the back of some of these are air raid bunkers. There's flies, so I wonder if something's crawled in here and died. It's actually much more extensive than it looks, but you can see that those are just to stop people from going in, because it's caved in a bit. It's a bit dangerous, frankly. But it goes around the corner. So there would have been a lot. There would have been a lot of troops in that one, because there would have been a lot of the headquarters staff here as well as recuperating soldiers. Tagenya was proclaimed a hero because of his defence. So he was in charge of one of the Army Corps, but he had to get the other 3 Army Corps out before he could retreat himself. But time wasn't on his side, time wasn't on the side of the Republicans. And it wasn't long before the final offensive came, and he was forced to flee. Because of his great rank, he would have been killed had he been captured. And so they flew him out, and he was flown first to Marseille, to Paris, and from Paris to Moscow. And for a while he observed and he saw how things were going under Stalin. And before long he came completely disillusioned. And after a brief spell where he was sort of an ambassador to Tito in Yugoslavia, where Tagenya actually studied again because he was too young and got a medical degree, He wasn't spying on Tito for Stalin. Who knows? I think most people think he was. But by the end of it, he was absolutely fed up, and he used Yugoslavia as a springboard to get out altogether. And he took his wife and he escaped to Mexico, where he started a new life. He lived out his life. He died in 1971. But he wrote what is generally considered to be the best first-hand account of the Spanish Civil War. And no one reads it. Probably 15 years ago, I started writing a novel, and it's still not finished. But I'm actually thinking that when I'm recovering from my heart op, I might start again. It's based in the Spanish Civil War. It's about a imaginary Welsh miner called Geraint. It's an action adventure in the style of Bernard Cornwell and the Richard Sharp series, that sort of thing. He's a trade unionist miner in the Welsh valleys, and he came out to Spain, as did hundreds of Welsh miners, because the trade union movement and communism was very, very strong there. We've got more things to talk about, and we've got more Civil War stuff to look at too, and some more tales. That was one. We're going to have some more.
Viva la quinta brigada, rumba la rumba la rumba la. Viva la quinta brigada, rumba la rumba la rumba la. Que nos cubrirá de glorias, ay Carmela, ay Carmela. Que nos cubrirá de glorias, ay Carmela, ay Carmela. Luchamos contra los moros, rumba la rumba la rumba la. Luchamos contra los moros, rumba la rumba la rumba la. Mercenarios y fascistas, ay Carmela, ay Carmela. Mercenarios y fascistas, ay Carmela, ay Carmela.
Our last stop of the ride, Les Deves, something like that. It's a series of fortifications, trenches, foxholes dug all the way into this ridge, and this was the last stand, the last real defensive position that held back the nationalist forces, allowing the Republicans to get away. Most of the trenches during the Battle of the Ebro were nothing like as good as this. Because this was a defensive position to cover the retreat, you can see it's got this zigzag pattern. That's just if a blast hits in one place, it doesn't take out the entire trench, only one tiny portion of it. Just looking out for fascists. I'm telling you a quick tale from the trail. It's more a couple of little tiny stories really. The Battle of the Ebro was a surprise attack. The nationalists just didn't see it coming. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And what the Republicans did is they had lots and lots of small boats available, and they shuttled the first 900 men across to form a bridgehead, and then they made a pontoon bridge, which is just floating barges with boards between them, so you could get tanks even across. So amongst the first men across were the men of the British Brigade, part of the 15th International Brigade, and they decided that they were going to attack holding aloft the flag of Catalonia, and only a certain number of men were selected to carry the flag across, and one of them was a guy called Michael O'Riordan. I've got a mate who's Michael Reardon, near enough. So this is for you, mate. Anyway, Michael O'Riordan proudly carried the Catalan flag across. When he got to the other side, he proudly handed it to one of his Catalan comrades and was promptly shot. And he was one of the very few that managed to make it safely back across the river. Another interesting anecdote about the river crossing is that the places where the Republicans would cross were devised by Michael Dunbar, who was a graduate of Trinity College, Cambridge. and he became the 15th Brigade, the International Brigade's Chief of Staff. He was obviously brilliant. But when after the Spanish Civil War, when the International Brigaders were sent home, he joined the British Army. And despite having all that combat experience, all of that incredible knowledge first-hand of warfare, he never made it above the rank of sergeant in the British Army. And that is because of the fear of communists and communism. And the last of these little minor tales from the trail, there's a story about a French Algerian, René Cathada. And René Cathada has got a tiny little bit in the history of the Spanish Civil War. And yet, if you look elsewhere, René Cathada was a hero of Algeria. He fought for independence. He fought for trade union movement in Algeria against the French. But when push came to shove and it was good versus evil and it was against the fascists, he hurried to Paris and joined up. And because of his vast experience of fighting against the French in Algeria, he was promoted and he became a captain in the International Brigades. And he was put in charge of a huge diversionary attack that the French International Brigades ran. So the crossing was mostly between the villages of Benifayet and Fayon, huge front that they attacked. But the French attacked at Amposta, and that was more what the nationalists were expecting. They had a huge garrison at Amposta, and they thought they were going to be directly attacked. And so they were actually ready. And of all of the attacks that went across the river at Amposta, only one succeeded, and that was led by René Cathada. Now, unfortunately, as soon as René Cathada's men got across, bearing in mind this was a nighttime attack, they came under absolute withering fire because they'd attacked the stronghold of the nationalists. Unknown to them, they tried their best. Just happened. And they got trapped between the river behind them and a canal in front of them, and they couldn't escape. And the nationalists held the high ground above them, and they just fired down into René's troops and killed every single last one of them, bar René. And no one could say that he wasn't fighting from the front. It was just one of those incredible coincidences. Also, I think, bloody determination, because he refused to give up until he was relieved. And eventually, all their cries throughout the night for reinforcements were finally met, and some guys came across in boats just to evacuate them. But René didn't realise that. He thought he was being reinforced. And with the relief and knowing that he was dying, he took out his gun and he shot himself in the head. Now that is a tale from the trail. And that is pretty much it for this week. But until the next one, and I don't know where we are. I don't know where we are in terms of what's happening. So I don't know when you're going to see this. But until that one, whenever it is, thanks for watching and ride happy.